Just a couple thoughts on AI, artificial intelligence. So I'm sitting here in the garden looking at stuff that's real, like a real hole in my rubber boot. We're sort of at the beginning stages of the real rollout of artificial intelligence in so many forms, whether it's for writers, painters, musicians, you name it. The robotics world combined with the artificial intelligence world. It's all pretty amazing. But for people that have real talent and have worked to generate that talent, worked, practiced, now somebody comes along that doesn't have the talent because they've never put the time into it, they're not interested, they're not inclined that way naturally, but now they can make a few prompts on a screen and AI will generate a poem, a story, a song, a painting, an article, whatever. It sort of takes away from the human work, human effort, endurance, capacity, creativity, and it sort of turns it all over just to machine technology. What it sort of reminds me of is going to the grocery store. And why it reminds me of this is because there will be people who will reject AI. Just like an hour away from here, there's a group of Amish people who have largely rejected a lot of modern technology. They're still gardeners, they're creative, they're industrious, they're hardworking, but they're just not into all the gadgets and stuff. So there's going to be a large segment of humanity, and when I say large, I'm thinking majority, probably vast majority, that will eagerly run towards, eventually join into, or feel forced to becoming part of the new AI/robotics world. And to get back to the grocery store part, if you walk into a typical grocery store, and they're all mostly big box stores now, at least in this area, if you would take out all the aisles that are really just junk, sugar, salt, and all these other genetically modified ingredients that's in everything, corn syrup, now cricket powder, etc. If you would take all of that stuff out of a store, you wouldn't have a whole lot of the store left. And even in the produce section and in the dairy section, it's inundated with chemicals and all kinds of stuff. So even in the areas that we think are sort of good, they're not really that good. But we as humans, when I go shopping, you probably do it too. I often look in what other people's shopping carts, particularly when I'm waiting at the checkout counter. I sort of look at what other people are buying. Not that I really care, but it just gives me something to do mentally while I'm standing there, I guess. And then I might compare what's in their shopping cart to their physique to see if the two match up. The garbage in, garbage out scenario. And I think what's going to happen with AI is what basically happened to our grocery stores. I think of my grandparents, they were virtually self-sufficient. We're going back to the early 1900s. Now here we are, 100 years later, and I'm sitting here in my garden. We garden. This area that we live in, quite a few people still garden. But where we came from before we moved here, I'm talking 6 years ago now, very, very few people gardened. We just all vacillate towards the easy answer for whatever reasons. There's lots of reasons that are good and necessary, even to an extent. But we've all lost touch with sort of the earth that allows us to live and exist. And so to draw the grocery store together with the AI, it's all new to us right now. But you know, when I was a kid in the 60s, a lot of the food was still pretty natural. Like margarine was being introduced, at least in our area. Maybe it preceded my time, but not in our area. Things like Dream Whip and then later Cool Whip instead of whipped cream. I could think of some other things too, but you get the point. Replacements. Replacing what's real for trying to make something the same, but it isn't, and you know it isn't. But the majority of people go for it, went for it. And I think that's what's going to happen with AI too. The majority of people are just going to adopt it, adapt to it, and it's going to force a whole new subsection of humanity to the sidelines. It's going to force them out literally because they won't be able to compete, or it's going to force them out philosophically or worldview wise because they refuse to compete. They refuse to sort of join that team. That's me, by the way. I write music. I like writing. And because it's very difficult for me to do certain things, the temptation is there. Well, why don't I just buy an AI program and I can get somebody, a machine, to play bass for me and play lead guitar for me and do backup vocals and correct my voice, blah, blah, blah. And instead of hiring people, which I can't afford, now I can just buy a program, get it all done. Trust me, the temptation's there. But I don't want to do that because I think it's going to cheapen me and it's going to cheapen all of us. If you think going to the store and walking out with 80% sugar, salt, canola oil in your shopping cart is fine, you're just wrong. You're just wrong. Sorry to break that news to you. If we think replacing the human soul with artificially generated replicas, it's just going to be wrong. It's my opinion. And I will once again find myself in a very, very distinct minority because I have an opinion like that. Maybe not yet. Right now there'll still be some resistance, but that resistance will wane, and eventually that resistance will be ridiculed. And that's just the way it's going to be. And I don't think it's going to be good. I guess I could say it's something I anticipate, have anticipated in some sense. And I'm not looking forward to the future in that light. All right, there's almost a 10-minute ramble, and I really didn't say anything, but I still got it out. And it was off the top of my head. I didn't put any prompts into my phone to ask me what to say. So there you go. For good or bad, that's what it is.